Welcome to this comprehensive tutorial on creating a game using the Tiled Map Editor. In this video, we will explore the exciting world of tile-based game development. Whether you're a beginner or have some experience, this guide will help you understand how to utilize Tile to build an amazing 2D game. First, let's discuss what Tiled Map Editor is. Tiled is a powerful, free, and open-source tool for creating 2D tile maps. It allows you to design levels using tile sets, making it great for platformers, RPGs, and puzzle games. You can export your maps in various formats for use in game engines like Unity, libgdx, and others. To get started, you need to download Tiled Map Editor. Head over to mapeditor.org and download the latest version for your operating system. Once installed, you can launch Tiled and be greeted by a clean working environment. Let's take a quick tour of the interface. On the left-hand side, you will find the toolbox, which contains various tools like the Tile Brush, Fill Tool, and Eraser Tool. The central area is where you'll be creating your maps, and on the right, there's the Properties panel for configuring map settings and tile properties. Familiarize yourself with the interface to ease your creation process later on. Now, let's create our first map. Click on File, and then on New. A dialog box will pop up asking for the map dimensions. For this tutorial, let's set the width to 20 tiles and the height to 15 tiles. Make sure the tile size matches your tile graphics. For example, we will use 32 by 32 pixel tiles. Great! Now we have a blank canvas. But to create something interesting, we need some tiles. Let's import a tile set. Click on Map in the menu and then New Tile Set. Here, we will create a new tile set by selecting the image file that contains your tiles. In our case, let's use a simple grass tile set I have prepared for you. Once your tile set is loaded, you will see it on the right side in the tile set panel. You can click and drag tiles from this panel onto your map. Let's use the Tile Brush to paint the grass over our entire map area. Click to paint one tile, or click and drag to paint multiple tiles at once. Now, let's add some variety to our map. Go back to the tile set panel and select different tiles to introduce paths and obstacles. You can create a small platform or a river by carefully selecting the tiles you wish to place. Experimenting with the shapes and patterns will make your game more engaging. Remember, you can always use the Eraser tool to remove any unwanted tiles. This flexibility allows you to refine your map until it looks just right. Now that you have a nice landscape, let's add some gameplay elements like characters or enemies. To do this, we need to set up object layers. Go to Layer in the menu and select Add Object Layer. This layer can hold different game objects such as characters, enemies, and items. Now select the Object tool from the toolbox and click on the map to create an object. In the Properties panel, you can set attributes like size and position. Let's create a player character. Name your object, Player, and set its size to 32 by 32. You can also set a custom property if needed, like Type, with a value of Player. This allows us to differentiate between different kinds of game objects later on when we export and code the game. To add enemies, follow the same steps, but set different names and types for each enemy. Add a few enemy objects around the map to make it challenging. Let's name them Enemy 1, Enemy 2, etc. Don't forget to give them unique properties as well. Now that we have our player and enemies set up, let's save our work. Click on File, and then Save As. Choose a location on your computer where you want to store your game files. Tiled saves files with a .tmx extension, which will be essential when we export our map later for use in a game engine. Next, we will export the map so we can integrate it into our game engine. Navigate to File, and then select Export As. You have several formats to choose from, but for this tutorial, we will choose the JSON format. This format is versatile and easy to parse in most game development frameworks. After exporting, you will have a .json file along with your tile set images saved to the directory you specified earlier. These files contain all the data we need to recreate the map in the game engine. Let's take it a step further and set up a simple Java game using libgdx to load our tiled map. To set up your environment, make sure you have the latest version of Java Development Kit, JDK, installed along with Gradle. Next, create a new libgdx project using their project setup tool, which you can find on the libgdx website. Choose the basic game setup and ensure you include the required modules like GDX, Box2D, GDX Tiled, and others. Once your project is created, navigate to the core folder where you will be writing most of your game code. The entry point of your game is the GameClass.java. In this class, you will initialize your game components. Open it, and let's set up our game world. This code initializes vital components like the camera and renderers. Make sure to update the file path in the loader to point towards your exported tiled map. Now, we need to configure the camera to match our map size. This can be done by setting up the viewport in the create method. Now let's run the application. You will see your map rendered on the screen. If you've done everything correctly, the tiles should lay out as expected. In our next section, we will add real game mechanics, so hang tight. To make our game interactive, we need to implement player movement. In the GameClass.java, add input handling for the player using the input processor. Let's set up the controls such that the player can move left, right, or jump using keyboard inputs. To handle these inputs, you will need to create a player class. This class will manage the player character's attributes, state, and behavior. Create a new Java file named player.java in the same package, and define properties like position, velocity, and texture. In the game class, instantiate the player object in the create method and call its update and render methods inside the render method. Make sure to pass the delta time to the update method for smooth movement. Now let's implement the movement logic within the player's update method. You will want to adjust the player's position based on input from the keyboard. This can be done by modifying the position in response to key presses. To introduce jumping mechanics, add a vertical velocity attribute to your player class. Check for the space key input in the update method and add gravity to control your jump. Incorporating physics can be accomplished using a simple acceleration and velocity approach without a full physics engine. With the player movement and jumping implemented, we now need to add collision detection, especially so the player can interact with the map objects and environment. You can use bounding boxes for simple collision reliability. Draw the collision boundaries of your player and tiles. You will implement a basic collision detection method where you can iterate over the tiles of your tiled map and check for overlaps using the rectangle class. Congratulations! You've built the basic structure of a game: a playable character, collectible items, and simple collision detection mechanics. From here, you could enhance your game by adding user interfaces, sound effects, or even developing more complex game logic. As we conclude this tutorial, I encourage you to continue refining your map and adding new features. Consider exploring more about libgdx's physics libraries, animations, and scene management to bring your game to life. Remember, game development is a vast field full of learning and growing opportunities. Thank you very much for following along with this tutorial. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe for more Java programming video tutorials. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. Until next time, happy coding!